mother was not in her house in Machindi. At times, even when she was, the entire house became a makeshift of a rental property. Most of her other kids, my step siblings, have no known jobs or professions. They didn't have a nail to scratch their asses, and they typically lived off any income that was not directly tied to their own efforts. So naturally, they hit upon this brilliant idea of renting out every room in my mother's house. On any given day, that house was like a mini brothel because there was always a steady stream of strangers waving in and out of the rooms. Despite the chaos, I had powered my energy and some resources into making my mother's life a little brighter. Since 2001, I had helped her travel to and from France and the UK on more than one occasion, as I will elaborate on this later. My mother's fights with any and everyone are legendary. She had a talent for starting fights with just about anybody and anything. I have witnessed her fighting with her tenants over issues that would make anybody raise an eyebrow, because the reasons for fighting often revolved around romantic entanglements. Honestly, can you imagine a 60-something-year-old woman and 20-something-year-old women hurling insults at each other about men? It's enough to make anybody cringe. She had some massive public blowouts with other children too, something I have never done yet. Somehow, I often felt like I'm the biggest target of her criticism. She seems to put me down more than she does her other kids, while taking me and everything I offer for granted. I've always adored children, and my step siblings' kids are like my own. I would do anything for them in my means. But my mother always insisted I be the one to support every one of them. Please note that my step siblings' father actually comes from a rich family, and my step siblings have some fairly well-off relatives. Their paternal grandfather was a very wealthy man, known all over Chibuye and the rich circles of Kampala. Their paternal grandmother too was financially comfortable and left a sizable estate. Okay? Tugende mu maaso. I remember one time, my 36-year-old stepbrother, then wife, approached me, gently explaining that one of their children was unwell, and that according to my mother, I absolutely had to cover the hospital bill. I had to stifle a laugh and told her, last I checked, I don't have money vault tucked away in my house. Last I checked, I don't have a money vault tucked away in my house. Mulamu we yajja okusaba sente atwaleyo omwana mu ddwaliro, n'amugamba sirina box ya sente mu nnyumba. Okay? Doctor, please don't judge a book by its cover. Keep reading. I'm reading. I'm not judging. Yes. In my house. And just so you know, my mother has no say over who I helped out and when. Predictably, my mother told my step siblings, his wife and their kids, that Aunt Irene doesn't love you. Otherwise, she would not be letting you to struggle with bills. Such is the pathetic drama that I have grown up with and witnessed from my own mother. No matter what happens, there are certain cultural values I refuse to compromise on. When it comes to respecting my elders, that is a line drawn in the sand. I won't be exchanging words with Mama. I'm not about to get into a shouting match or argue with her. It's just not me. But you're here name calling her, she's ignorant, she's not intelligent. But anyway, what do I know? Whenever she gets in a mood to criticize or scold me, I can feel the tension rising, but fighting with my mother, either verbally or physically, is not something I'm prepared to do. I remember the last time she gave me a beating like it was yesterday. I was just 11 years old. She made me fetch a cane from Mutuba tree that was at Mrs. Senga's house, gave me 3 super painful strokes of the cane, all right in front of my friends. It was beyond embarrassing, all because we had made a bit of noise. I refused to cry. I just mentally locked up and refused to let my emotions show. When she was done, I calmly stood up and walked to the side. Ajukira no emboko satu zebamukuba. Nabanyumizaako amoti weyankuba nga nva kukola ebibuuzo. Wano bamukubeza aziwandiseemu akatabo. Okay, embarrassed, I refused to cry. She threatened to beat me up again, probably because of my lack of emotions had embarrassed her in front of the small crowd that had gathered to witness this debacle. That was the last time my mother ever laid a hand or cane on me. It was the last time my mother laid a hand or cane on me, okay? I'm not judging a book by its cover. I'm reading The Man. Next title, The Man. Next topic, The Man / my mother's partner. My maternal grandparents' house in Mitiana was a bit shabby but charming. Nevertheless, it was made of reeds, mud, clay, and a sprinkle of sand, with some patches of wall ceiling having succumbed to gravity. During the guerrilla war of the mid-80s in Uganda that ushered in current president of Uganda to power, we were living with my maternal grandparents. My grandpa, or Baba, as we called him, was well off, working in Mbale at that time. My mother's man imposed himself as the man of the house, exercising authority even on Jaja or in her own house. In short, mama wa Irene yawasiza omusajja mu nyumba ya mama we ne taata we. If we wanted permission to do anything, absolutely anything, even to flirt, I suppose we would speak to him first. The problem with asking him about something was that he had a temper as short as a sneeze. He was always on edge and was always ready to thunder at the slightest sound or perceived noise. And let me tell you, he roared. Even our poor grandmother was left speechless. Now, did I hate my mother's man? Well, let's say I definitely wasn't a fan of his. I felt zero connection to him, and I found it bizarre that I was supposed to call him daddy with no reservations. It did not take long for me to realize that in the presence of this man, my mother had zero authority. He always had the final say, and I really didn't like how he belittled and mocked her in front of all of us and other adults. It was always frustrating when he shouted at everybody, but somehow it felt worse when it was aimed at my mother. He would beat me up for a yes or for a no. That meant that what made the beating feel worse was that the person I expected to defend me, my own mother, would sit silently and watch me being clobbered. there was this one day that really sealed my lack of feelings for him. I was about 11 years old, and I remember we were all in one room, and I was making my bed. My mother called up my stepsister Yvette to grab a shirt for the baby, as at the time, my mother called out Yvette to grab a shirt for the baby she had at that time. Okay. Yvette, annoyed by this request from our mother, picked up the shirt and grumbled and sulked towards the closed door and walked right into it. The man asked, "Ani you?" And we all replied in unison, "Yvette," and he jumped right in with "Ani akusindise," who pushed you wrongly, assuming that she must have been pushed for her to hit the door like that. Yvette pointed at me and said, "Namubiru did it." I was nowhere near her when this happened. I hadn't even touched her. To my further astonishment, Musisi, our house help at the time, who was present in the room, decided to back her up by saying it was me, for some reason only known to him, or probably because he too was terrified of the man. The next thing I knew, I was called into their bedroom where my mother sat in complete silence. Great support, right? The man ordered me to lay down on the floor, and he began to hit me with his bare hands, kicking me and slapping me anywhere his hands and feet landed on my body. And my mother watched in silence. After what felt like an eternity, he pushed me out of their bedroom with his feet. That day not only solidified my dislike towards him, but it also changed the way I thought about everyone in that household. The way my mother didn't step up to protect me, the unnecessary lie that my stepsister Yvette had told that had led to the beating, and of course the way that man creature battered me like I was a piñata. Piñata. They all disappointed me enormously. From that point, I developed a pretty thick skin. Whenever I needed to defend myself, I opted for silence. In my head, I reasoned whether I'm right or wrong, whether I say yes or no, whether I did something or not. You beat me anyway, so let's skip the hassle of talking and get right to the beating. There were two surprising moments when my mother kind of stood up for me against him. The first time, he had accused me of doing something I hadn't. I didn't say a word, and as usual, I was ready to take the beating. My plan for this day, however, was to then vanish from the house forever. I had absolutely zero clue on where I would end up, but I didn't give a flying pancake. I just wanted to get out of that house. Realizing I was stone cold resilient and unafraid, my mother said, "Weyogera ochimanyi, tewa chikoze choko sirise." That was exactly the defense a child should get from the mother. I mean, she couldn't even say it directly to him, but wow, that kind of work because I wasn't beaten that day. A small victory, I guess. The second time that my mother defended me involved my auntie Mama D, who lived with us at the time. My auntie had an epic showdown with the man one day. It started as a small argument, and it looked like auntie was winning. She had this way of laughing at him provocatively, which he absolutely hated. You could practically see the steam coming out of his ears. Anyway, once that little dust-up between them was done, I chuckled at something that was totally unrelated to their saga. Big mistake. The man roared at me in fury and demanded to know why I was laughing at him. "Onsekerede, he insisted. But I did not even know that what I was supposed that I did not even know what I was supposed to have laughed at for. He insisted I apologized immediately, but I stood my ground, saying I wasn't laughing at him. This went on for a few minutes until my mother stepped in and firmly said, "She did not laugh at you." My auntie chimed in too, baffled as to why I should apologize. Meanwhile, I went into full mute mode as usual, just waiting for the inevitable beating. One of the only times I ever felt like I was part of that family was when they saw my excellent school grades and report cards. It was a rare occasion where I was celebrated. I became the academic star of the house, and so pursuing excellency became a personal mission. I was determined to be among the best. However, I do not want to see your school report, was one of his many forms of threatening me, which roughly translated to I won't pay your school fees. Now, school was my sanctuary. So when he was toying with this idea of not sending me to school, despite the fact that my mother was paying some of the school fees that she had collected from her relatives, I was enraged. This time, though, I found myself thinking, fine, screw your school fees, I don't care. Living in that house felt like walking on eggshells every single day in his presence. It was a constant reminder that I did not belong there. Walking up to someone who clearly disliked you was a special kind of torture, since I felt disapproval as soon as I opened my eyes. Let me pick up this call, guys. Not call, I think the buzzer. Okay, waking up to someone who clearly disliked you was a special kind of torture, since I felt the disapproval as soon as I opened my eyes. Mama's man was once arrested in the UK, twice actually, and even banned from entering the country, all because of drug trafficking. That part of the story is well known in the family, where drugs are almost as common as breakfast. This is important. He openly used drugs in the house, leaving me to clean up the mess. And the children started abusing drugs, cigarettes, and anything else they could land their hands on as early as 7 years of age. When my mother was in the UK between 1991 and 1992, we were left in care of this man. 2 months after she moved to the UK, her man quickly moved in with his other lady, the mother of his other 2 children, Yvonne and Nanette, who were around the same age as Nicholas and Yvette. They all lived in a 2-roomed unit. And while this lady went off to work every day, my mother's man stayed at home, gladly receiving his upkeep and our tuition money from my mother in the UK. Mr. Man was a self-imposed stay-home father. Hi.
Hello.
Likay.
Good day.
Yeah, see it. You're having Mama's bag. Why?
She said I could borrow it to put my lunch in.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't have a bag of your own?
I don't know. Just like
So you went with 2 bags at school?
my lunch.
It doesn't fit in there?
No, there's not like enough space. If it are cramped.
Really, Tyra?
I'm sorry.
Really? But okay. Because I know you're gonna lose it, and she loves that bag.
Sure.
I mean, there is enough in your. I mean, you could get a lunch bag. We could be having a lunch bag here, and there is another durable bag that you refuse to take. That green bag that has a whole compartment of keeping cold food hot food hot, and cold stuff. And I bought it really expensively, but you don't want to use it. I don't know why. But anyway, kulikayo.
Nope. I got recruited for dance tryouts.
September 18, the dance room. See you there. Nice. Nice. Okay, let's continue, guys. Senga, you get distracted easily. No, my daughter came in, so I was supposed to ignore her. Come on. No, I'm judging her because she took Thai. Bring that bag abantu mbalaga omanyi bagala nnyo okujaji olete ne bag yo olete ne ya green.
Okay.
Guys, tap. So we stopped at Irene's stepfather being a self-imposed stay-home father. Between the money that my mother sent him and some of the money that came from his financially comfortable parents, he was good to sponge off that. When she was in the UK, Mr. Man was fully expecting me to be the family maid. Remember, we had no maid for most of the time, so I would end up doing everything around the house. One day, he sent his son Nicholas to fetch me from my auntie Mamadi's place, who lived about 200 meters away from home, to come and change his son's Esau's soiled diaper. I asked Nicholas why couldn't he do it himself, before his dad backed at me saying, "And so what if he called you? What were you doing there anyway? Don't you want to take care of your siblings anymore? Ngenda kugamba mama wo tokyayagala kusangula bbi w'abaganda bo." That was bbi w'abaganda bo. Full stop. Later. First bring your bag. Guys, this is Tyra's school bag.
It's
here.
heavy.
As big as it is, here.
It's very
there
heavy.
You go. Wait a minute. Can we please, moderators, can you please, anyway, I've done it. That's okay. So, Tyra, today, that is her bag. Ngawe mujirabye ngabweri enene. Later. She got Mama's bag here. You see this kasao? This was a gift that was given to Mama by her best friend Skylar. Mama herself does not take this to the older, so she got this and put in her lunch. Remember, ensawo ye enene, so akuteka no? Nakatekamu ebintu bya mama. Okay, here. But later.
This?
Yes. But guys, I bought this really very expensive bag here. They can balage here. You see this bag here? Yeah. This bag is big. It has that. It has where you can put your phone. It has that. This bag has a whole section where you can keep food hot or cold. You see how it is insulated here? Oh yeah. Mono, you can put in your hot food and it stays hot, or your cold drinks and it, like fruits, and it stays like that. Okay. Here you can put in your books and everything else. See? On top of all that, that bag has this like here and here. Oh, and I bought it, and it also has this other pack. This other, like it's a big bag to put in each and everything.
It's good for college in high school. But it's very big, like it's big and it's very heavy.
It's Tyra.
I used to take it to school. Like I had that bag and someone got off the bus and I was like, "Are you studying rocket science? What's in that
Okay,
bag?"
so I'm just, yes, it's a cute bag. It's a big bag, like for all the reasons. Like you you put everything in there.
So
and that madam here. And that madam, and it's an expensive bag.
Mommy, I don't know what happened. I don't know what told them, but they have put this sweater in her bag, and it's not her sweater.
That's not her sweater.
This is not her sweater. They have put it in her bag, and it's
so,
not hers.
Guys, mother problems. Mama already lost her school sweater, her cute school sweater. Kakati nenda gula kagundi.
A stamp.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy the stamp.
Mommy, don't get a stamp. There are these things, they're on Timu, they're really cheap. It's kind of like, do you know, like omani wo and it has like that almost like whitish thing, and you have to cut it off.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a zip tie, but not a zip tie. They have them, and they're like you hook it here, and it has like it's like this, and it's like a name tag.
I wanna get something that I will put here that everybody is gonna see. This is
Mommy, can you is there a way that we can stitch her name? No, can we like stitch her name on it?
The stamp does.
Okay. So how was your day? So they have put this sweater. I don't know if it's new. It looks new, but it's not hers.
Senga together, kids, if you don't mind, you stand there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. That's Amin. That's Tyra.
This is
Mama
Amin.
come.
This is Amin.
Here, Mama. And that is Mama. Hello.
And can I show you something so exciting?
Tyra, I'm not excited to come back.
Okay, let's go.
And we can have a hug.
But look at this.
And we can have a hug.
Yeah, sure.
How was your tooth?
That water
how
is
is your
good.
tooth?
I'm okay now.
I know.
A dancing?
Yes.
A dancing party?
No,
Okay.
a dance team.
Okay.
How you going?
I got recruited for the dance team.
You got
So I'm gonna,
For tryouts.
guys.
I'm happy with her for telling me. She said to her, she came to me and she was like, Ami, my best friends are running away from me. They're not being my friends anymore. Then she came to me and she's like, Amira, her best friend is Esme and some other cowboy. They are a trio. And she was like, Mommy, Esme was pushing me. Mommy, Esme doesn't like me. Then she came on the bus. She's like, hey, Ami, Esme is my best friend. We became friends again. She hit me.
You know Mama does that. You know Mama does that.
It's like Elu.
Okay.
Esme. Very friend.
Okay, guys. Irene, that's between the money, between the money that my mom sent him and some money that came from. Hey, tukwamye kubi. Hey, don't you want to take care of your siblings? Anymore ngenda nkugamba mama wo tokyayagala kusangula bi wabaganda bo. There was this one evening we had just resettled back in Machende from Mitiana after President Museveni Liberation War in 1986. My mother had a much younger in-law living in the same compound as us. Mr. Man, as well as the husband of my mother's in-law, were both not home at the time. So Mama and her in-law decided it was a great time for an outing. They left the house around 7 p.m., leaving us in the care of Nakalia, our 15-year-old housemaid at that time. Naye omukazi agambye tebaberanga na mukozi ate no bwagamba bali no mukozi ate bwagamba. All this is the editor's problem. Editor, your work is not chronological. You get when I mention this, people are like, hey, you just don't understand. The work is not chronological. Ate bwogamba ate temwali na mukozi ate bwogamba ate mwali no mukozi ate mwaberanga mbale wabajjajja ate bajjajja ate baberanga Mitiana ate ukagamba. It's just there. I don't know about wapapie or something. You know you're just everywhere. But the truth is, every stage of her life waliwo mukozi. Anyway, and the chapter is called The Man. Okay, but anyway.
It's great, actually.
the housemaid at that time, I suspect that Mama thought that her man wouldn't be back home until much later. But as luck would have it, the big boss returned home earlier than expected and immediately asked where Mama was. How can you say as luck would have it? Meaning, wali oyagala tata wo ankomewo nga mama wo taliwo amusakate. As luck would have it, the big boss returned home earlier than expected and immediately when asked where Mama was, I had no clue, but the maid mentioned another error. As luck would have it, the big boss returned home earlier than expected and immediately asked where Mama was. I had no clue, but the maid mentioned. It should be the maid mentioned. Grammatical errors. The maid mentioned that she had listened in on their conversation and had heard the word awodizi. Grammatic errors nkuzibagamba. Irene, it's not too late. I mean, for if you can make this right, yes. Another typing another grammatical error. I had no clue, but the maid had listened in on their conversation and had heard the word awuduzi. It was the name of the discotheque called Club Clouds. The man instructed us not to open the door when Mama returned. Not long after, Mama came back knocking on the bedroom window asking to be let in. Nakalia, the maid, worriedly informed her what the man had instructed us not to do. From that moment, it was pure chaos. We didn't sleep a wink that night. Around 6 a.m., Mama was let back inside the house, but only because she was told to immediately pack her luggage, including me, and leave. Kaba mugobe, musajja ogenda otya mu bidongo nga tosabye bbaawo. Omukazi eyabeeranga ebungereza ssebo bamusibirako emigugu. From that moment, by the way, as I read, I want everybody get a pen and a paper and note down your question marks, your analysis, your everything. What you want sao, you know, byoyagala twogereko. I can still vividly recall the sheer joy and excitement that I felt as I quickly dressed, and I could smell freedom. I was ready to go anywhere as long as it was away from that house and that man. I was okay to sleep on a cactus patch than to spend one more day in that house with that man. We had this giant silver trunk that Mama filled up to our humble belongings. I couldn't wait to share the good news with my neighbors. I was so excited, you would think I had won the lottery. Omwana nonga musanyufu mbunu mama we bamugobye mu bufumbo. Tapping alive and share it. As time dragged on, I got impatient and started asking Mama when we are leaving, but the answers were never what I wanted to hear. It turned out she was begging and pleading for forgiveness. By 8 p.m., that trunk was back in the house and all its contents were unpacked. That meant we are not leaving. We were staying with that man in that house. Fuck. For lack of a better word. Fuck for lack of a better word. I headed back to the neighbors to deliver the bad news. Omwana no yayino olugambo nga buli chifa mu nyumba nga agenda na kolachi nanyumizaako ba neighbor mama bamukwatidde mu bwenzi mama yagenze mu kiduula batugobye bamugamba parking era tugenda era munange we baagaana weba sonyiwa mama we nagenda munange baneiba nagamba musonyiye era I was deflated and angry and sad. I cried for days, although my mother was utterly obviously to my heartache as usual. That day was one of the happiest and saddest moments of my life. Okay. Kakati netudda ku omusajja tumumaze, the man netudda ku another part which is titled My Friends and Mama. My mother weirdly surrounds herself with friends who are either my age or even younger, midlife crisis, often with just an ounce or half an ounce of brain cells between them. But Dideyo, I want you to note who the kind of person that Irene is, the language that she uses on other people. My mother weirdly surrounds herself, meaning she still does it. My mother weirdly surrounds herself with friends who are either younger than me or my age, often with just an ounce or half an ounce of brain cells between them. In short, bakwano ba mama we bonna basiru tebalina magezi. Honestly, I have not seen many people in her daily company that are remotely intelligent. It seems that she enjoys this type of companionship because it gives her the upper hand in her manipulation tactics. My mother has this bit of wanting to befriend all my friends, and she doesn't shy away from showing up at their homes or workplaces, often unannounced. It's like she needs a full-time investigative team comprised of my friends to gather information about me, especially when it comes to money and relationships. She seems determined to pull them away from me and get them on her side. For those friends who share similar characteristics and traits with her, they join in as she gleefully backbites me. They inform their own little club where she starts playing matchmaker for them or offers them advice on relationships. The irony. Another thing, they all have in common a doubling interest in witchcraft. Yep. She recommends the good witch doctors that she knows. I have watched her befriend several of my friends, some of whom have been lured into her web gossiping lies, which ultimately led to my friendships with them fading. But thankfully, my closest friends have always been too intelligent to fall for her antics. They refuse to play the game with her. There was this one day when Mama and I were watching a mother and her daughter on Bucket the TV having intense heated verbal clash. The daughter was saying things like, yeah, your man touched me. You sleep around with everybody. Men have sex with you in the banana plantations. We all see you. You are a drunkard. And I even slept with the same man. What happened of mother? What kind of mother are you? You can't teach me anything anymore. I'm not even your daughter. The mother in return was firing back uglier insults at the daughter while beating her like she was hitting a rag doll. Oba mujjukira party kubukedde omuwala mama we nga bw'ati omwana nga ayimiridde bw'ati nga amulanga okwebaka n'abasajja n'okwebaka ne bbaawe. I think that's the thing. I looked at my mother and jokingly asked Mama, what if I was saying and doing all that to you? What would you do? Her answer came quick and clear. Nkutta. I once gathered the courage to talk about the sexual abuse and molestation that I had experienced at her home. Hello, Kafu! Abakafu! molesting and sexual abuse too say moje. But her blank stare and silence spoke volumes. She did not ask questions, nor did she seek even to understand me, and I even regretted even bringing it up. According to my mother, sexual assault or molestation only happened through penile penetration. She also believes that time heals such wounds and trauma, and so for her, I simply just had to forget and let go. When at one point, my mother and her children were heavily harassing and trolling me on social media, I resorted to sharing part of that molestation story on the same platform. It was a cry for help. I had reached my breaking point. The people I had been protecting with my silence clearly didn't care about my life. The worst part was they completely misunderstood this message. It was simple and straightforward, yet they blew it out of proportion, aiming to paint me as a liar. Strangely, she is the first to believe and spread rumors about other people's children, things involving pedophilia, incest, and any other type of abuse, no matter the relationship of these children to her.